Welcome back. Welcome back. So this is a little different than the post I've made in the last couple of weeks. This one is talking about something that I learned this week that has changed my life. And I mean that in the essence of the word. This thing I learned changed my life. What I realize is that many of us live under our own rocks. And I don't mean to be rude about that, but that's what really happens, right? So we live in our own ecosystem, and we talk with people, see people, meet people, email them back and forth. But for the most part, those people are under that same rock, that same umbrella, that same ecosystem, if you would. And they kind of know what it is you know, and you know what it is they know. But it's the same information that's being sort of passed around from one person to the next. It may change a little bit from person to person, but the gist of the idea, or what's known, is about the same from person to person. So you know what the other person know, essentially. And when you're under that rock, you think the entire universe is identical to what's under your rock, right? But there's sometimes when you reach out for however you reach out, whether you're reading books or listening to podcasts or audio tapes or audiobooks or whatever you're doing, the more you reach out to different venues, if you would, the better picture you get of the potential for other ecosystems and other worlds and other views and other thoughts and other sort of pearls. And which brings me to what I've learned this week. Now, I try to be a really generous, understanding person. I do. But we all have those people in our lives that just, for lack of a better word, just piss us off, right? And it happens once, happens twice, and you just end up, and I hate to use the word hate, but you end up really disliking them, right? You end up really, there's something about them that you just can't stand. For some people, it used to be a childhood friend. It may be a cousin, maybe a brother, it may be a sister, it may be a mom, it may be a father, it may be an uncle. It may be some person in your life that you cannot stand, and you hate them, right? You don't want to be around them. You don't want to hear anything about them, what they got to say. And you even sometimes have, you kind of wish them, ill. Because they're just a nuisance, some person in your life that you just have to sort of be around, but you don't want to be around them, you don't like them, none of that, right? It happens to all of us. And again, I use the word hate, and I really mean that. And there are a couple people in my life that I really don't like/hate. There are a few of them. But the thing I read this week was phenomenal. The implication of what this article said was you should really love that person. Those people you can't stand to be around, you should really love them. And here's why. The reason you don't like them, the reason you do not like them, is because there's something in them that you internally hate. And the important part of that is, in it being in them, you then know what it is you do not want to be like. You now know the things in other people that you really abhor, right? You don't like them because there are things that they do, things that they say. You see the way they hurt people. You see the way they mistreat folks. And you're saying to yourself, I am not that way. I hate being that way. Essentially, I'm going to hate you now because you are doing those things. You should really be glad that you're experiencing that person because they're doing things that you're saying to yourself, you know what? I will never do that. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for showing me what not to do. Thank you for being that person that's doing all those things that I'm saying to myself, I should never do that. Now, without them doing it, think about this. Without them doing it, you would have nothing to bounce yourself off of, right? You would have nothing to bounce off of to say, I would never want to do that. I would never want to be that person. But the reason you hate them and dislike them is because they're doing things that you know to yourself you don't like, right? So technically, you should love them for being who they are because then it reminds you of what not to do. Hence, you should embrace them. You should technically thank them for being who they are, right? I hope you're getting that. I hope I'm saying that well enough. The reason you don't like certain people is because they're doing things that really vexes your spirit, your soul, right? And in essence, you should be thankful to them for showing you what not to do. I find that profound. Now think about the person you do not like and think about what it is they do or say or do to other people or how they treat other people. And think about the reason you don't like them is because you do not see that as good qualities in a person, in yourself, right? You don't like to rob and steal and cheat and all these things that person is doing. So in essence, again, you should really thank them for being who they are. For you then to see what not to do. For you then to learn, and that's a whole other topic of things that I like to discuss. You really should be happy about not being that person, seeing them in their mode, if you would, and then saying to yourself, I would never, ever want to be that or do that to someone else. And to watch someone doing that to other people, that's why we don't like them. There are people in my life, I say to myself, and you know, and you learn to stay away from them. You learn to sort of, when you get in your own environment, if you would, you move away from them, you stay away from them, you try not to call them too many times because they will invariably say things that just annoy the hell out of you, right? And then it puts you in a different state, if you would, and that state is hard to get out of because you're so angry and so annoyed, and you think, how could they ever have done that to another human being? And yet they're doing it, yet they're comfortable with it, and you know, and you should be happy. You're not that person. You're not doing those things. Be thankful to them. Like the good book says, love thy neighbor. And that's probably one of those things because you're seeing your neighbor that's doing some stuff and you're thinking to yourself, thank you, God, I'm not that person. That's what you should say to yourself. Thank you for enabling me not to be that person or like that person. Anyway, thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day.